President Barry Jagdeo vows to continue to fight for Guyana's interests on the issue of the EPA despite describing it as becoming political, chiding the regional negotiating machinery.
Roger Khan's lawyer Robert Simmels appears in a U.S. court today on charges of arranging to execute a key witness in Khan's trial.
And the Housing Ministry is to see a new minister following the appointment of Minister Haironarai Nabat as Guyana's new ambassador to Brazil.
The details of these and other stories, Junior News, Eye on the Judiciary, and of course the latest sporting action in the Diamond Mineral Water and NCN Sport News and more after these. Good evening, I'm Delicia Fletcher.
And I'm Paul Moore.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Thursday, September 11, 2008. Here's what's happening. Paul.
Thanks, Alicia. It was observed by public officials during an assessment of the Mandela Dam site today that the fire there has subsided significantly. It was also noted that the area has to be constantly doused with water to prevent combustion on the site. More in this Akila Jacobs report.
Local Government Minister Kelawan Lau says resources from various agencies will continue to be utilized at the Mandela landfill site.
Because the fires are more on the surface, with a lot of plastics and all these things still smoldering. But I think within a few days we're going to give the residents can expect a significant ease in this situation. I've been here for some time now. I haven't seen any city council people, but basically they're the ones who are supposed to be in charge. And again, as I said yesterday, they're tasked with the responsibility of looking after this dump site and dealing with such situations.
The minister's comments came as officials from the Public Works and local government ministries visited the Mandela Dam site to assess ongoing works. Minister Lal says relief will be given to the residents within a few days' time. Meanwhile, Hydraulics Minister Robeson Ben said the fire has subsidized significantly with the early morning shower and the cool weather today. He also explains that from the assessment, the situation still remains tragic.
What is tragic to some point is that things got to the point where areas which are already grass, greened over by natural reclamation, revegetation of the area, that those areas have been bought out again. So it's not a good site again. And additionally, you have a lot of plastic which has been burnt and getting up into the smoke, which isn't a good thing. At the moment, there are 3 excavators in place, 2 working. There is an excavator working on the western face to bring some control on that side. There's an excavator working on the southern face to bring water from the Sussex Street Canal.
Deputy Mayor Robert Williams says the area has to be drenched with water for 3 to 4 weeks before any significant relief to residents is achieved.
For me, the place has to be flooded for about 3 to 4 weeks continuous flooding to prevent any other effort of the gas coming up and the fire being on it. So even if there's going to be no smoke or fire, we'll still have to keep flooding the place.
He is also of the opinion that the dam site should have been closed some 4 years ago. Reporting for the NCN News, Akila Jacobs.
Roger Khan's lawyer Robert Simmels appeared in a U.S. court today on charges of trying to eliminate a key witness in Khan's trial. Simmels was arrested on Wednesday after he reportedly spoke with a federal informant on paying $1,000 for the hit. Here are details.
U.S. federal officials say Robert Simmels, attorney for Guyanese businessman Shahid Roger Khan, has been charged with attempting to eliminate the main witness against his client. Simmels was arrested and accused of paying an alleged Phantom Squad member for the hit, which also included strict orders not to kill the witness's mother. Simmels, who was arraigned with conspiring to obstruct justice in a Brooklyn federal court, is alleged to have arranged the hit for Khan, who is accused of leading a drug-dealing ring. Khan allegedly told Simmels that the case against him hinged on one man identified in court papers as John Doe No. 1. Simmels wanted to eliminate and neutralize the witness and made a down payment of $1,000. The man allegedly hired to carry out the hit had been a DEA special agent for 5 years. Simmels apparently met with the informant again in July and asked how much money John Doe's girlfriend would require to testify on behalf of the defense. During that meeting, he reportedly handed over a document detailing what the woman should say at the trial and promised to pay her a total of $10,000. 5 before and 5 after. The associate Arian Arvin is also set to be arrested. Semel's career was built on representing several notorious criminals, including drug dealers and mobsters in the U.S. Khan was arrested in June 2006 aboard a flight from Suriname and taken to the U.S. to stand trial for drug trafficking charges. He pleaded guilty last year to 18 counts of drug possession and distribution charges and remains in a New York federal jail awaiting trial. Khan could now get slapped with new charges relating to this latest indictment. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
The Arbitration Tribunal met the representatives of Guyana Sugar Corporation and Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union and discussed the logistics and modalities for the arbitration proceedings. At today's meeting, it was agreed that both parties will be making oral and written submissions to the tribunal on September 24, 2008. The parties will exchange and present their written submissions to the chairman of the Arbitration Tribunal. The tribunal has proposed to address the matter. This matter is an efficient and timely in an efficient and timely manner, so that by mid-November the Arbitration Tribunal will commence the preparation of its report. The two parties have been in a deadlock on wage negotiations for some time now, resulting in industrial actions severely affecting the industry. The GAO has asked for a 15% increase in wages and salaries, but the sugar company remains steadfast, offering just 5%. CEO of Gaisuco, Nick Jackson, announced that the industrial action this year has cost the company some $300 million in revenue. President Bart Jagdeo has announced that Housing Minister Harry Narain Nabat will be Guyana's ambassador to Brazil. However, the president did not announce who will replace the minister at the helm of the Housing and Water Ministry at this time. He said there are certain diplomatic procedures to be followed before Nabat is confirmed in that position. The president says one must always expect changes in cabinet. Health Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsamy says even though the lack of running water may hinder the use of flush toilets, safety standards should be kept while using pit latrines. Here's more.
The recent death of a child who fell into a pit latrine has aroused much debate on the safety of pit latrines, especially at schools. And Amerindian organizations are calling for proper sanitation facilities to be installed at schools, especially those in the hinterland. Meanwhile, Minister of Education Sheikh Baksh is quoted as saying his ministry does not intend to phase out the use of pit latrines in schools since they are internationally accepted as proper sanitary disposal. He, however, mentioned that maybe in another few years the issue would be addressed, adding that it would be very expensive. A representative from the Amerindian People's Association had said that he cannot see the logic in building a new school and not building proper modern sanitation facilities at the same time. Earlier this year, at a sanitation workshop, it was highlighted that 88% of all deaths caused by diarrhea is as a result of poor hygienic conditions, and that 50% of all pit latrines in Guyana are below the given standards. Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsamy says he has always encouraged the phasing in of flush toilets against pit latrines where there is available running water. However, where this is not possible, the safety of latrines must be considered.
We are urging people in their homes and so on to transform to flush toilets wherever there is running water. Wherever there is no running water, the ministry has a recommended standard for pit latrines that take into consideration the safety issues. And so the issue is not about pit latrine per se. It is the use of the recommended standards.
PAHO and the Bureau of Standards have the specified requirements for building sanitation facilities. Tanisha D'Souza died on the first day of school at Santa Rosa, Region 1 after she fell into a pit latrine. Meanwhile, the concerns of the Amerindian organizations on the safety for all hinterland students, who are mostly Amerindians, remain. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, Natasha Smith.